Hi VC, Dale Gatefield 33 back with another video, and this is another thread response video. So this one is a response to a video that Jack at the Vinyl Voyage put out a couple of weeks ago now, I think nearly, where he showed 7 albums in 7 different genres and asked us to kind of do the same. And I think in Jack's video he had one that kind of the album defied genre categorization. So I've kind of given this some thought, and I've gone in as normal. I've kind of tried to make it challenging for myself, and I've slightly flipped the categorization one. So what I've done is I set myself the challenge of find 7 albums from 7 genres in my collection where I only have 1 album of that genre, and in the whole collection, and that's led me down some rather weird, strange alleys to find these genres. And so rather than have an album that defies genre categorization, I've got certainly later on in this, towards the end, some genres that defy explanation, to be honest. So just if you pause for a minute and think about how would you go about finding from within your collection albums that are in a genre that you only have 1 album in that genre. It's I would say it's been fun, but that's probably not the right word. I won't. How did I do it? I've only rambled for 2 minutes. I need to ramble for a bit longer. How did I do it? Well, I catalogue my collection in Discogs, as a lot of you will. I have a spreadsheet for my records, but that has genres in it, but it has, the top level genre, like classic rock or folk. So, you're not going to find only 1 folk record in my collection. So I had to go a little bit deeper down the genres, probably to 3rd tier genres, to find instances where I only had 1 album in that genre. So I also catalogue my records and my music collection on rateyourmusic.com. I've mentioned that before. It's fantastic. It's it's for the nerds, by the nerds, for the nerds. So it's got reviews, it's got categorizations, it's got lists, loads of lists. But it's by the members, for the members. It's not muso journalists writing stuff about an album. You get some strange reviews about good albums, like this is a load of old tosh, about Sgt. Pepper's, which may or may not be true. So it's interesting. And I spend hours and hours on Rate Your Music. Anyway, within it has genre categorizations against albums, and has a number of them against certain against albums. So what I had to do was trawl through my collection, looking at every record as I scrolled through, and think, oh, that's a weird genre or subgenre. Click on the hyperlink and it takes you to that genre, but it also tells you how many records you've got catalogued against that genre. It's not foolproof at all, because it would say 1 and then you'd click on the 1 and it would bring up 7 albums. Anyway, so I've limited mine to albums I've got on vinyl that only have 1 categorization, or I only have 1 against that genre. That's what I've done, and that's stopped me going completely crazy. Anyway, 5 minutes, good. 5 minutes, show some records, Dale. So the first few of these, I think you'll go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Then we start to drift into, no, you're probably having a bit of a laugh there. So I'll start off with this album, which I think, nicely encapsulates. And I've got my iPad here because I'm going to read the strapline of the genre to explain what it is, and then you can decide whether it's a thing or it's just a part of another thing. So Dadawa, Peace and Love, this falls into the genre of Naabingi. So what is Naabingi? So it's also roots reggae. So if you like, this is 3 layers down: reggae, roots reggae, Naabingi. This is a lovely, beautiful album, peaceful, sort of reggae, stripped back reggae. So it says, performed at Rastafari religious ceremonies consisting of tripartite hand drumming and often accompanied by vocal chants. So there you go. Naabingi is the first example of a genre that I only have one album of in my collection. I've got a CD box set of Naabingi as well. Okay, this next one I am going to butcher the pronunciation of. So this is Solar with their self-titled album Solar, which is on the Be With label, this re-release. So this is Kyong Melodica, okay? Sentimental vocal music sung in Spanish with a focus on the chorus, originally developed in the first half of the 20th century from a variety of traditional Hispanic genres. It's a soul record, so it's soul, if you like, Spanish soul, and then Canción Melódica, third tier down. And I should have said for the last one, so how many records are categorized in the Rate Your Music database of Naabingi? There are only 58 Naabingi releases, whereas for Canción Melódica there are 4,255 releases, so it must be quite a big genre. I just didn't know about it, and I've only got one record in my collection that falls into that genre. Okay, next one. This is where we start to get into the, is it really? Mr. Ben, The Music. So this was a record store day release from a few years ago. Duncan Lamont, who provided the music for the Mr. Ben cartoon series. So hence it's called cartoon music. So zany and up-tempo incorporated elements of Western classical music and modern classical into frantic big band arrangements, playfully chaotic to match the on-screen actions of cartoon characters and the beat of their movements. There you go. And there are 77 releases that fall into the cartoon music, but you could argue, isn't it just soundtrack? And I wouldn't argue with you. Okay, next one I'm going to show is this album, Magic Bus. This is the only I've been into Magic Bus since the beginning, which is probably 15 years ago. I'm not even sure if they're still going. They are a prog band. They're a prog band in the Canterbury style, and so the genre that this album has been given is neo Canterbury, and I only have one neo Canterbury in my collection. So what do they say about neo Canterbury? Movement reviving the signature style of the Canterbury scene, often updating it with modern influences. Yeah, that says nothing, doesn't it? that sentence says nothing, but yeah, okay. And I guess the benefit of this is, if you listen to Magic Bus and you like that Magic Bus album and you think, I want more of the same, you can click on Neo Canterbury and you'll get whatever it was, 175 other releases that are Neo Canterbury, and maybe you'll get something similar. Whereas if you listen to that album and it only had progressive rock as the only genre, you would get thousands of albums and probably be none the wiser about whether you can find something that follows that. So I can see the logic. Okay, next one is this album, also a Be With Records release, and a sort of KPM style. This is Seahawks with Island Visions, and this falls into the Balearic beat. So what do they say about Balearic beat? Variety of relaxed, laid-back music that originates from the Balearic Islands off the coast of Spain, and particularly the club scene in Ibiza. Again, what does that sentence say? This is an ambient album, but if you go a few layers down to ambient, from ambient you get Balearic beats. It's a good sort of library style record. Okay, next up we have this album, Mort, Garson and Plantasia. So this is a library record as well. It's what's the strap line? Warm earth music for plants and the people who love them. So this is, warm, beautiful mood music, especially composed to aid in the growing of your plants. Yeah, I think people have maybe partaken of some plant-based relaxation when they came up with this style, but yeah, it's a good album. It's a nice melodic instrumental plant-based library album. But no, it is Moog-sploitation. That is the genre that this is in, and it's Moog-sploitation. Moog, or Moog-sploitation, I suppose. Moog synthesizer-led music, often associated with a new wave of novelty records in the 1960s and 1970s. So this probably just gets in at the end of that. I think there were some real cheesy Moog albums that came out in the 60s, but this came out in 76, so it probably took that and maybe structured it better into a proper album for growing your plants to. Okay, and then finally, my seventh genre. This is the Hartwood Institute and Land of the Lakes. Hartwood Institute is Jonathan Sharp. This is on the Castles in Space label. This is part of the subscription service that I'm part of. So this comes into the genre witch house, also known as drag, haunted house, screw gaze, crunk shoegaze. 2,241 releases falling into the witch house genre, but I only have one. Nocturnal, occult themed, horror inspired and murky beats with altered, slowed down and heavily processed samples laid on top of slow hip-hop derived drum rhythms and droning dense synthesizers. Okay, I think that probably gives you a description. So there you go, Jack. Sorry I messed with your format a bit, but yeah, there's seven albums from seven sub genres. Okay, cheers, VC, bye.